Hello and happy Thursday, everybody. Josh here with On the Wrong Lead. Another episode of On the Wrong Lead Live, where we cover stakes racing all across the country. Got wonderful stakes racing to talk about this weekend. We got late pick 5. We're gonna look at Saratoga. We got Haskell. We're gonna talk a little United Nations as well. And much to my chagrin, Nick Seaver saying, "Can I get odds on talking Del Mar at all this season?" Nick, I was literally just on another stream talking about Del Mar. We covered the entire card for Saturday Del Mar card. And I know you watch every single stream that is going on at any single point in time about horse racing, so I know you were watching. Don't lie to me. You saw it. Mark, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. It's today for the first time. Obviously I was playing Saratoga because that's sort of what I do. It felt like the first real Saratoga day. Obviously we had the opening weekend. A bunch of those races were, a bunch of those days were just murdered by the garbage weather. There was the whole Friday shenanigans where everybody was really confused by why that all came off because it was gorgeous out. And then Saturday, Sunday were all rained off. So it felt like the first real Saratoga. You're like, oh, we got some good turf racing. Awesome. Big competitive fields. Some stuff to take some spots at. And things were good. So I hit the late pick 5, which was nice. Had a decent day overall. And I'm excited for tomorrow. I'm honestly excited for the whole next couple of days. Obviously, I think I'm going to, our good buddy PDT and I were talking. I think we're going to both hop into the Haskell tournament, that 1K buy-in. That looks like a really good tournament, a lot of BCBC seats, so that's obviously what I'm shooting for. So just aiming for kind of a top 10 finish. And overall, man, racing's good. And I think we went from a period where we're like, oh, there's no good racing, and we're having to make up excuses for that, to, oh my god, there's so much, because you have Haskell this weekend, you have some really good Saratoga races, and then you have Del Mar kicking off. So good stuff, right?
And a man who I know is absolutely ecstatic that SoCal Racing is back, Mr. Caleb Knight. Caleb, how are you doing?
Doing all right. I am excited for Del Mar to be back for sure, especially opening weekend. I haven't looked at the card, so I can't really say what it looks like yet. But I know the last couple of years, that opening weekend and really first 2 or 3 weeks of Del Mar, it's always maybe not the fanfare of Saratoga, but the field sizes are huge. I mean, you get monster payouts. I mean, almost every single day. It's a lot of good racing. It's very competitive racing, especially now with the unfortunately the NorCal circuit being shut down. I hope to see some more large fields and bigger cards at Del Mar. So hopefully that'll kind of pick up some of the lost action there. But yeah, I'm excited for that. And obviously Haskell this week. That's looks like a fun race, if maybe not a competitive race. And then, Saratoga, always, bringing the best. So, yeah, it's a good weekend.
Yeah, I just got done recording with Louis Rabeau. We did SoCal Saturday, and we talked about the Del Mar card on Saturday, all 11 races. And, man, some of those maiden races are tough. And guess what? There's like 4 or 5 of them in an 11 race card. There's going to be a ton of maiden racing, and we were talking about some of the ship and win bonuses and stuff. Like, there's a horse I think in the first race that has got like a 75% like purse bonus because of the fact that it's shipping in and it's a dirt race and it's a maiden. Like, they are running for a ton of money over there, and so it's going to be really interesting to see how that turns out. Also, I heard that they are no longer going to be running those NorCal restricted races. So they're just like the cheap races, I think, are going to be even more competitive, because now it's not just going to be limited to NorCal horses. So, it's going to be, it's setting up to be really, really good. And then to further my point against Nick Sievers is we haven't announced this yet, so we're going to talk about it. I guess we're announcing it now. Obviously, with Shatin on break until September, Matt and I, like we're trying. I was thinking of ideas, right? And if there's one thing that both of us are really, really good at, is losing all of our money along the weekend. And when that happens, Caleb, what do you need?
Get out.
You need a get out. So we're going to be doing the get out. All right. It's going to be covering Sunday's Del Mar late pick $3 minimum. The old get out. We're leaving with something, as Chase likes to say. We're leaving with something. So that we'll be recording that tomorrow night for the first episode, and we'll be covering a ton of racing here. We got a bunch of races to get through here. We're gonna start with a couple of races at Monmouth Park first.
Sure. Now I gotta pull other things up. Jesus, Josh.
I'm not gonna pull what up.
I gotta change all my forms around. You're killing me.
Oh, we're gonna start with Monmouth. We're gonna start with Monmouth Park here. We're start race 11. The Grade 2 United Nations. I didn't realize this is a Grade 2 race.
How's it a G2?
I thought this was a Grade 1. But I don't know. I always feel like this is always a really freaking good race every single year. And I was really actually kind of shocked that the only Grade 1 on Haskell Day is actually the Haskell. The United Nations here. We got a nice full field here of 10. And 7-2 on redistricting as your morning line favorite. You get 4-1 on limited liability, 9-2 on Rebel Red, 8-1 on corruption and get smoking, 15-1 on major. I mean, you get double digits on everyone else in this race. Mark, I'll let you go first. Where did you land here?
This is a really, really interesting race, just in the fact that there's a lot of horses in this race that, they have run big figures. They have run well at certain points in their career, but they all sort of seem to be off form. And so, or there's a lot of them that I think maybe have suspect form. Maybe they just don't ever win. There's some short priced horses that kind of fall in that category. I think, redistricting, as much as I'm trying to get around him, is a really likely winner of this race. And I had a really hard time picking a lot of holes, in him. I mean, he's, again, not a win machine. He's, 3-9 lifetime. He is perfect at Monmouth, and he's coming out of what I'm assuming is the prep for this race, in the Monmouth. He seems to, he should be kind of on the front end, kind of controlling the pace. He should get a similar trip to what he got last out. Has Flavian Pratt up. I've heard this Flavian Pratt guy is pretty okay as a turf jockey. And, I think if you get anywhere near that 7-2, he's probably win bettable. I had some other horses I liked in here. I realized I don't have the most creative approach by eating the chalk, but that's probably why you called on me first. So you guys tell me what you like, and then I'll loop back to some prices I like in here.
Caleb, there's one horse in this race that I am absolutely 100% contractually obligated to bet every single time this horse runs.
That's a 10. Get smoking.
Number 10 gets smoking. And I'll tell you what, it's been a rough year for being a Get Smoking fan. But there's two tracks that he runs well at. One of them's Kentucky Downs, the other one's Monmouth. And he won the United Nations last year, same trip. And I'm kind of looking at this race, and I'm just not really seeing any kind of like absolute frontline speed. I mean, redistricting, yeah, he got the lead last time, but I mean, he was going against tomato cans at Monmouth, right? Like Chad prepping a horse for Monmouth at the that's like a double fake Chad, isn't it? Like this is a horse that he's run all over the country, and he's like, hey, 150K listed stakes. I think that's where you should go to get ready for this Grade 2. That's just not a Chad move. So I don't think he's going to prove much to be on the lead. Major Dude he's got tactical speed, but he's not a leader type. And I think that just kind of sets up for Get Smoking to kind of get out there and maybe get a little loose here, kind of like he did last year in this race. So, I'll take 8-1 on Get Smoking. He's got a couple of races here in the 120s that do fit with some of the best that some of these other horses have run, and I just don't think that there's any real just like absolute world beaters in here. So I'll take a shot with Get Smoking going wire to wire here for Mark Cassie. Caleb, where did you land?
Yeah, no, I do like your pick and Get Smoking here, Josh. I don't. He's not my top selection, but I do think he's at 8-1. He offers a lot of value, and I saw the race similarly, and that I don't see a ton of speed in here. I definitely think he gets the lead, and probably the biggest threat is the inevitable middle move by Frankie Dettori on the 4-horse that doesn't work. But assuming that doesn't screw up the race too badly, my top pick is another 8-1 shot in the book, who is the rail horse Corruption. So get your pudding cups out, because I got Castellano in a grade 2 here that's going to be going off after 4 p.m. or 5 p.m. Oh, goodness. So, yeah, I mean, I like Corruption. I've always thought this was a nice horse. It has actually stepped forward in every career start. Despite the kind of the fourth place finish in that Manhattan, that was an extremely salty field. I mean, any of the top 3 finishers would be more than a handful if they showed up in this spot today. And he did improve on time form anyway, his speed figure in that race, despite finishing 4th. I mean, this is an extremely progressive 4-year-old who continues to go the right way. We know he gets the distance, given that the win and then a second by a neck against Far Bridge, going 1.5 miles. One of the better probably 1.5 mile turf horses we have here in the States, which is somewhat crazy to say. But yeah, I just think, he gets a lot of options here. He's clearly not a need to lead type, but he does have the tactical speed should he choose to use it. I'm kind of hoping for more of a, aggressive early and then sort of take back kind of a ride from JJ, where let Farbridge go and do his thing. Should be sitting no worse than 2nd or 3rd. And it seems like one that, should relish to stretch out a little bit back out to 1 3/8. Seems to be moving forward at the right time, and is a horse that offers, I think, a lot of value in here. So Corruption, definitely my top choice.
Any other horses in here you guys want to talk about?
One other horse in here that I was a little interested in is the 8-horse Starting Over. This is out of the Mike Maker barn a couple starts ago into the Brittany Russell barn. And this horse has never been consistent. This horse is will either show up and win a race or finish 25 or 30 lengths or something absurdly back. But this horse does have some back races that do fit here. And if you look at whatever the last races of Delaware, it seems like Brittany has this one kind of trending in the right direction, and kind of trending forward. And I would imagine that race was a stepping stone for this. You're getting the very capable hands of Rispoli up. And, I thought this is the kind of horse that might get a little ignored on the board here and could jump up at a big price and kind of run these down late. I know horse probably needs a little bit more pace than he's necessarily going to get in this spot. But I think it's a horse you're going to get a lot of value on that does have a little bit of upside. So a little interested in the 8 in here as well.
Caleb, any others you want to talk about in here?
No, truthfully, I really only have the 1 and the 10, and then the fake ass Chad. I'm not going to use, but I could see an argument for him. But yeah, I mean, nobody else. I mean, really calls out to me. I mean, there's a version of Tawny Port that if you're just going off of numbers, like would be a handful, and you're getting 20-1. But it's really hard to justify that based off his last couple of races. I mean, kind of to Mark's point earlier. I mean, there's the summer 24 version would be a contender in here, but I'm not sure if we're gonna see that version Saturday or perhaps ever again for the 6-year-old now.
It's also interesting with Tawny Port. They scratched out of last weekend's races at Saratoga, and they're shipping down for these races. I don't know if that was weather related. I've never heard an official answer, but if the horse was really training well, maybe they said, geez, we're going to take the tougher spot, which is this race. I don't know, and I'm really extrapolating to get there. There's a price, though, where Tawny Port is a bit interesting.
Yep, and obviously, if you guys are watching us live, you see that we got the old time form PPs up there, brought to you by our friends at DRF. And hey, they just launched AI. AI is everywhere. Apparently, it's even on DRF now. Chat.drf.com. You can ask all kinds of questions. I did ask, obviously, the most important question in all of horse racing to it, asking whether or not it knew that Andrew Champagne had Lord Miles in the wood at 59-1. It did not, and it complemented it. So obviously, I don't think I have to explain. This is obviously a beta because nobody on the internet compliments Andrew Champagne, not even the bot. So go ahead, check it out, try it out. Send it to your friends to ask all the dumb questions they ask you, and obviously they're open to feedback. So if you guys got any feedback on it, go ahead and let them know. But the big race on Monmouth Park, it's going to be the Grade 1 Haskell. We're going to be going a mile and eighth on the main track. You got journalism at 4 to 5. And before we really get into this race, I just want to say, good for him. Mm-hmm. Good for Mike McCarthy for just having this horse run in every single race, right? Because how often do we just see these Grade 1 types that have some success and they just go away and hide, or they start showing up in just absolute soft spots, right? I mean, they're putting this horse in every single race, and I love it. And it's just so old school that you don't even see old school guys like Bill Mott do that anymore. I just think it's awesome that we're going to see this horse run again. I think obviously 4 to 5. If you could book that anywhere live, you would send it in. But this horse is not going to be anywhere near that. Mark is laughing very, very hard. DRFAI, which horse will get a candy ass trip? I'm sure Caleb will start putting in all kinds of expletives. Hey, why is certain person have such a pea brain? Yeah, I just don't really know. Like journalism, I mean, he just should absolutely err in this race, shouldn't he? I mean, you guys have any strong opinion outside of using journalism on top here, Mark?
It's really hard to not like journalism. I mean, he's shown up, he's done all the things. Obviously, he's if sovereignty doesn't exist, he's your best 3-year-old, right? And he probably wins the Triple Crown. He's done all the things, and extremely talented horse. And I really have a hard time. He comes from off the pace, but he's shown that he doesn't necessarily need that. A huge, crazy pace up front to close into. Capable hands all the way around. Really solid connections that know how to maintain a horse and to keep them in good form for a long period of time. I have no qualms. Journalism's your most likely winner, and I think you have to get very creative in here to get around him. I think there's ways you can, but you're going to have to be a little cute.
Caleb?
Yeah, I'm not trying to beat journalism. I think he's just by far the class of the field, the best horse in the race. Echo everything you said about good for Mike McCarthy and the Eclipse connections for running this horse as often as they have. It's been a pleasure to watch, and I will enjoy watching him on Saturday. I don't think I'm going to be able to bet him at 1 to 2 or whatever he goes off at, but I think that he is an overwhelmingly likely winner. Even with Rispoli-esque, trouble in the Preakness, I think this horse probably still beats this field. So I just think he's too good. And it looks like he's going to get a really square pace setup. I mean, it seems like there's quite a few horses in here. Now, we don't know who's going to scratch. These races tend to have a couple of scratches late. But it does seem like, between the likes of like a goal-oriented Kentucky Outlaw, I mean, even Gosger's got involved a little bit early, and then Wild and Crazy Night, Bracket Buster. There's a lot of speed in here, so I think it not only is he the best horse in the race, but I think it just sets up for him. And I'm not going to try to beat him. I think the value will be trying to maybe get in the exacta here, or maybe a double out of the United Nations. But I have no incentive to try to beat journalism on top.
Penn State Scott was probably the most important question ever asked. What happened to talking about what you were drinking? Wasn't this original in bourbon and handicapping? Mark, what do you got in front of you?
I'm failing miserably. I am drinking some white wine because I wanted something cold, and I didn't have a great selection. I'm a failure. I'm sorry.
It better not be Chardonnay.
It is not. It's a white Bordeaux.
Oh, fancy. Caleb, outside of you drink anything outside of cough syrup?
No, if you can't tell, I'm fighting off a cold, so I'm drinking tea.
A hot toddy has never hurt nobody.
That's true. That is true. Well, actually, that's not true.
I'm finishing up the rest of the Blantons I poured for the SoCal Saturday stream that I just got done, and then I brought in the backup bottle of a little bit of Old Forester's single barrel strength here. So
that's good stuff. Nice.
So I came prepared for this one, but yeah, I haven't had a chance to look through the entire Monmouth card, but I thought it'd be important to talk about these two races, and obviously Get Smoking is running, so I have to bet him somewhere.
It's a really good card. I'm about halfway through it. Very good card. The weather looks good, so it looks like everything should stay on the turf, which is nice. That's somewhat been a problem historically with Haskell, much like it is Saratoga this time of year. The East Coast gets these freaky thunderstorms and things come off, but weather looks really good. Very good undercard. Some extremely competitive races, so it'll be a fun card.
Yeah, and we're gonna get to this late pick 5 here at Saratoga. I thought this late pick 5 was tough. I don't know what you guys thought, but I mean, some of these races, like race 8, I think in particular, I had kind of a tough time with. You got Paddle, I think is your morning line favorite at 7-2 here. He's got a couple of third places this year. Broke his maiden at Gulfstream Park going this distance, but we haven't necessarily seen these Gulfstream turf horses really, kind of show up. I mean, time form like the Man of War there, but this horse finished third by 6 lengths in that race, in what was kind of just a 2-horse race. And then, but if you kind of look closer, I mean, a bunch of these horses have all run that 110, 112 type time form figure. So I think you're just kind of like, I don't know, you're looking at a lot of these horses that look the same. Taraj, first time in the U.S. here for Bill Mott and Junior Alvarado. Now, Caleb, I know you look at time form a lot, and when we Cap Ascot, we get these shippers. You got a 103 in that race at Leopardstown, right? What does that translate to American figures?
Yeah, so I think not only is it a 103, but it's a 103 in, at the time, his first start as a 3-year-old off of a layoff in May. You're now translating that to a July as a 4-year-old off of a bigger layoff type performance with Lasix going on. There's a ton of variables there. But my takeaway is that the fact that he ran that well against, and if you look at who won that race, it's Los Angeles, who's been a multiple Group 1 winner over in Europe. He was only a length back there in a pretty salty, Group 3 as it turned out to be. I think that's a very strong race. Don't know what happened necessarily in the Hampton Court next out. Clearly just didn't go on that day. But the big layoff, the barn change, the Lasix on, I think this horse is extremely live. Bill Mott does extremely well with U.S. shippers out of a limited sample size. So I'll be having this horse everywhere for sure.
Yeah, I think, I know Josh is talking about Padiddle being the, or whatever that horse's name, the 9, being your favorite. I will be shocked if Taraj doesn't go off as your favorite. And I think Taraj is much the horse to beat in this race. I think there are other ways you can go, clearly. There are definitely some question marks. First time in North America, pace dynamics are definitely different, et cetera, et cetera. Argument to me that Junior had been riding with a ton of confidence early, but has not been having a great Saratoga so far. Did not have a great Belmont weekend, 4th of July weekend, and he's not had a great start to the Saratoga meet. But he's key to get going. But also Bill Mott's barn's been a little cold, and clearly those two are tied. But I think Taraj is very well meant here. I think he's a good horse. He's getting first-time Lasix in here. I think all signs are go here, and this is a pretty classic Bill Mott move. You see something like Chad Brown. Chad Brown will get these first-time Euros, and he'll drop into a stakes first time. Bill Mott doesn't normally do that. Bill Mott normally puts them in sort of one of these types, optional 50, optional 100, a big track, and he really wants to know what he has on the track before he puts him in that stakes race. So I would imagine this horse is extremely well met in this spot.
Yeah, I kind of had this horse as a question mark because I wasn't really sure, and obviously you saw me go back, click through the time or the DRF, and 25% in over 12 starts the last couple of years for Bill Mott, winning first time North America. So I think it'll be interesting to see what kind of price we get on this horse. The two horses I think I was most interested in outside of the four. I thought the two Greystone was a little interesting here. Obviously Mike Maker, routing on the turf at Saratoga. I mean, that always dangerous with these types of horses. And this is a horse that's got a couple of back races I think that do fit here. Does get Paco Lopez aboard, which is I think kind of an interesting jock choice for here in this spot. But yeah, I thought this is a horse that's got some back races that make him at least a little bit interesting in this spot. He is a bit of a plotter, so he will need some kind of pace in front of him, and I'm not entirely sure what we're gonna get for a pace scenario here. And then I thought the number 7, Mayor of Midnight, obviously for Chad Brown here, fourth start here this year, and this is a horse that's just consistently improved. And we see this all the time with Chad Brown. Gets these horses, brings them along slow. They improve, adds a little bit of distance in him, and sure enough, this horse first time at a mile and 3/8, went ahead and won. So I thought the 7 Mayor of Midnight would be the other horse I would probably use along with Greystone. But yeah, I'll probably move up the 4 Tourage a little bit after looking a little bit closer here.
So couple of things because I didn't get my normal run in here. So remember here at Saratoga on Saturday that a lot of the big jockeys are at Monmouth for big races. So you're definitely going to see some jockeys who when you see these days, certain characters like, I don't know, Joel Rosario tend to do very, very, very well. And I think, because you get these jockeys who kind of tower over what's left of this colony. So I think that does definitely move up the 6. I know a couple of people had, Penn State Scott specifically had mentioned the 6 in chat. And that horse does have some figures that fit in this race. I think you also need to be a little careful. There's a ton of horses in this race that are like 1 for 17, but throw up big figs consistently. And I think you just kind of draw a line through all those horses. If one of them fires that race and they just get a perfect trip, you let them beat you. You go target some of those newer, fresher faces, and I think that's why Caleb and I probably a second reason we both sort of landed on Taraj. The other horse that I'm really interested in that I don't know why this horse is here, but that's the 12 horse Snooky Bear for Dicky Dutrow. But Jose Ortiz apparently is his first call, is a horse that makes absolutely no sense on paper. This horse is 15 or 20 points time form wise too slow to win this race. But Jose Ortiz, who has absolutely been riding lights out, getting all the mounts, clearly has choice and has been riding phenomenally well to, all the 3 starts to the Saratoga meet we've had, and lands on this horse. So I wonder if this horse is extremely well met at an absolutely stupid price. Needs a little help to get into the field, needs a couple of those horses that are 1 for 17 to scratch out. But if Snooky Bear draws in, I'm kind of interested in a stupid price like that.
Yeah, I think when I looked at this race, I think the first thing I kind of wondered is where's the pace going to come from? And I know Josh talked about, Greystone, for example, who might need a bit of pace. The horse doesn't even have an early pace rating on time form. He is so slow early. It's just a dash. I struggle with this race because I don't really know who gets the lead. I mean, I would probably guess it's the 5 just because
Maybe
Wesley
Steele,
Ward,
right? Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, probably the 5.
Yeah.
This horse had speed at one point. It seems to have kind of lost his speed recently, which I never like to see. But, Wesley Ward horses typically are pretty quick. Potentially the 1 with Kendrick maybe gets an aggressive ride out of the rail. But, I couldn't find where the pace comes from. So for me, I mean, I kind of hope the 13 draws in. I would be interested in that horse should he get into the race. Does need quite a bit of help. As he is the 3rd AE on the list. No guarantee he stays a mile and 3/8, but at least I'll get to root for him at 15-1 for, a mile and a quarter anyway. So he's one that I do have some interest in. I thought his last race was pretty good and kind of, broke through there a little bit. We've already talked about the number 4, Taraj, who's probably your most likely winner and will be your favorite. I also like the 6, Better Lucky Than Good, as Mark talked about already. But this is a race that if I don't understand the pace dynamics, I struggle to handicap races. And this is a race where I just don't feel like I have a good handle on the pace. I don't know who gets the lead. I don't see this being a fast pace at all, but is it going to be 25:53? Is it going to be 24:49? I don't really know. Yeah. So for me, it was hard to get into some of these super deep closers, just thinking they're going to be left with probably too much to do. To Mark's point, some of the other horses with big figures like Siciliano, big figure, shows up every time, but just doesn't win a whole lot. Padiddle, I can maybe make some more excuses for because, he's really only recently gotten onto the turf and all of his turf efforts have been pretty good. He probably would be my, maybe begrudging second choice in here. But again, this is just a difficult race to get a handle on, and I'll probably want a decent bit of coverage here.
First, I want to call out some. There are some bourbon drinkers out there. Nick Severs has got the Elmer T. Lee.
Ooh.
And then Penn State Scott with a little John J. Bowman single barrel. So we got some Buffalo Trace lovers out there.
Classy gentlemen out there.
Yeah, seriously.
And I see Road Warriors here saying good evening, my fellow D-Gens. He's missing his first Haskell in a long time. Cobb with the good question. He says, for horses with 400 days off, he likes to watch them in the paddock before he makes a decision. What do horizontal players do? Pray?
Yeah, pray. I think that's the thing. Like, if you're a clocker report person, obviously we have we're good friends with DRF. I like their clocker product quite a lot, and I think oftentimes you can tell, is a horse training well in the morning? Are they in good shape? I will pay for somebody else to tell me their take on a horse because I can't look at a horse in the paddock and tell you if they're ready to go or not. I don't have that skill set, but I'm totally fine with somebody else who's an expert telling me that. And I also think look at trainer statistics. There are certain trainers who their horses just tend to need a start, but there are other trainers who are very, very, a Chad Brown off a 400-day layoff, I have zero qualms. But there are a lot of other trainers where, something like a Bill Mott, you expect him to probably need a start. So it depends on the trainer.
Anything else on this race? All right, race 9. Cress, grade 3 race, 5.5 furlongs on the turf. And I don't know, this is kind of a little bit of a rematch here with a couple of these horses. The Future is Now your morning line favorite. It came second in is it the Intercontinental to Pipsy, the 6 horse. And the third place favorite, Kyreu, is in this race as well. And, I kind of looked at this race and I kind of thought that the 7, the Future is Now, is going to be a little bit tough here. I think, didn't get out of the gate all that quick. And I think was a little bit restless in the gate. So maybe some of that, caused some of his own issues in that race. And, I think once he didn't get the lead, it was kind of all over for him because Pipsy was able to just go wire to wire in that race. I do think that the Future is Now is probably the faster horse, and if he gets out clean, I think he's going to be kind of tough in here. But I mean, I don't know. I landed on 7 and 6 as my kind of like top 2 picks, and really the only other horse that I even gave a look to, and it's just because it's kind of a little bit of a price, is I looked at the 2 Zeitlos here, who has been primarily running in dirt the last couple times out. But this is a horse that ran in the Caress last year, and actually put up a pretty decent figure in time form wise. Put up a 1:15 in that effort. And kind of looking at what the horses in this are running, they're basically all running between that 1:15, 1:20 range. So I thought the 2 Zeitlos maybe could be a little bit sneaky with a little bit of a really, really good strong effort there on the turf. Last time he tried it, and gets Junior Alvarado aboard, who's kind of since winning the Kentucky Derby, seems to be kind of strutting his stuff a little bit more. He's been primarily he's always been kind of known as Bill Mott's guy, but now you see him. I at least notice him picking up more and more mounts now, as after that Kentucky Derby win. So I thought that he was really really interesting in this spot, the 2 Zeitlos. So I got the 7, 6, and 2 here. Caleb, where did you kind of land?
Yeah, I think your opinion of this race really has to sort of hinge on what you thought of the Intercontinental at Saratoga, or Aqueduct at Belmont at Saratoga, I guess. It's because Pipsy won the race, but you'd have a hard time convincing me that Pipsy was the best horse in that race. I thought, your horse, the Future Is Now, Josh, I thought she kind of got a boneheaded ride from Paco that day, a much more passive ride than she's accustomed to getting, and that's probably just not the kind of trip she wants, is trying to rate and then pass horses on the inside, kind of checked off of heels a little bit. Between those two, I much prefer the Future Is Now. Unfortunately, I think that David probably pegged the morning line correctly there with making her the favorite over Pipsy. Now, Pipsy's one I just don't really think I need. What is likely to be, a pretty short, second choice there. She could certainly win. I mean, she is improving, but she's one that I might be more willing to take a stand against. Another out of that same race who I thought was probably most compromised by the racing dynamics, because they just merry-go-rounded the entire time in that race. Very little changing of positions occurred, was the number 8 Time to Dazzle. And this is a horse, I actually liked her in that spot, and I got a good run at 30-1 or whatever she was that day. She was closing late and coming on, but just kind of ran at a racetrack against the racing flow where by and large the speed held together. I feel like there's more speed in here today. Future Is Now getting an outside draw, I think will be a little more forward. Pipsy, after having some success going wire to wire last time, kind of has to think that's the strategy again. A horse, like Tupi all the way to the inside. Not one I really love on the win side, but is one who's going to play a role in the pace dynamics for sure. So I think there's more of an honest pace today than what we saw in the Intercontinental. And I think that only helps Time to Dazzle, who you're not going to get 27-1 today, but 8-1 I still think is a very fair price. Making her third start off the layoff and paired up her career top. An angle that I know friend of the show Sheldon always likes. I mean, she ran a very big one in that Ontario Colleen Stakes at Woodbine. Kind of didn't run quite as well at Kentucky Downs and then at Aqueduct again, but then came back as a 4-year-old and then second off the layoff paired up with that career top. I think she's sitting on a forward move. I think she gets a good pace to chase after, and I think she's posted really well to just set off the speed and make her move. So she's another one I'm going to have a lot of money through. I could talk about more, but I'm kind of curious where Mark landed in here, because I thought this race, I could see this race being one where you go very skinny or also go very deep, depending on what you think of some of the shorter prices.
Yeah, I tended to go more on the being really skinny here, and I tend to agree with Caleb in this race. I think the Future Is Now ran much the best, or was much the best in the Intercontinental, and just got an absolutely boneheaded ride by Paco. I don't know what he was doing; he just got completely lost. And I think she just ran the best race. I have a soft spot for Pipsy. I've had a soft spot for Pipsy for a long time. She's just a cool horse. I've always really liked her. But I think the Future Is Now, last couple of performances have just been a better animal. And so I'm going to have the Future Is Now as a lone A. And the only other horse I want a little piece of is the horse that Josh mentioned, the 2-horse Zeitlos. If you believe that Caress figure from last year, the horse ran a pretty darn decent race, and it's gonna be a bit of an outsider. I would imagine you're gonna get your price in here. You're gonna get that sort of 8-1, 10-1 sort of a range on this horse, and I think it's a horse that it's the right kind of B type that I want. Where I'm okay with a horse that I realize has some upside, but there's some question marks to ask. Mainly, why is Steve Asmussen basically exclusively campaigned this one on dirt? So I think that's all I really need. I think I need the Future Is Now, and I need Zeitlos, and I understand where Caleb's coming from. There's a lot of other ways you can go in here. There just wasn't anybody that really jumped off the page and I felt like, oh, that's a horse that I think is kind of putting the pieces together, figuring it out, or there's a bunch of excuses to make, or just those types of horses you'll look for. So I think I'll play the game of being skinny where other people are going to spread.
Anything else in this race?
No, I think that's
No.
good.
All right. Race 10, CCA Oaks. 3-year-old fillies going a mile in the eighth on the main track. Your morning line favorite at 8-5 is Immersive. Caleb,
Hit the buzzer, Josh. Hit the buzzer.
which one are we doing?
Takeout reducer.
Takeout reducer?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Are you going to use it for Lucara as well?
Well, I mean, I couldn't figure out because Manny Franco is aboard, but like I am already landed on like 2 Manny Franco horses, I think. So
Which would be
not this
2
one.
more wins. Well, no, 1 more win than he has out of his 24 starts so far this meet.
Jesus Christ.
And if you go back the previous 2 weekends, I think he's only got 2 win. He's like 2 for 60 over the 3 starts to the Saratoga meet.
Yeah, I'm not gonna hit the button on Lucara, Mark. I like Lucara in the spot, but I just think it's tough not to like the speed horse at Saratoga, especially when there's not
that's
really.
right. It's a speed horse. Okay, got it.
I mean, like, obviously won the last race at Saratoga, won the Acorn. Obviously, that was a sloppy track. But even going back to that Ashland on a fast track, this is a horse that has run pretty well and is able to kind of stay on the front end. Immersive is just the absolute type of horse that you just want to beat at a short price all the time because this is a horse that's going backwards. There's a horse that peaked early in the 3-year-old season and his or is a 2-year-old, and has still not run back to those figures as a 2-year-old. Came back at Churchill Downs at 2-5 and what should have been just an absolute romp, and Take Charge Milady was able to hold on there and was given a 103 for that effort. You would hope that it would be a little bit closer to what this horse is running as a 2-year-old. But yeah, I'm gonna fade this horse. This horse isn't gonna be on any of my tickets. I'm gonna use Lucara, and I'm gonna use the horse that beat him last time out, or beat her last time out, which is Take Charge Milady. I think this is a horse that has got some, I think some sneaky good races. Obviously, you cross the line through the Kentucky Oaks, and the last 2 races, obviously winning that stakes race at Churchill Downs, and then obviously that nice second place at the Ashland. Yeah, I think there's a lot to like about this horse. If things do get kind of crazy up front, I do think this is the horse that's most likely to pick up the pieces late. While I think Lucara is the speed in this race, a horse like the 5 Dry Powder has shown some speed. The 3 Scottish Lassie's also shown some speed. I mean, who knows what Jose Lezcano will do? Like, seriously, who knows what Jose Lezcano will do? Because, if I could figure that out. But I have a lone A in Lucara, and I have Take Charge Milady is kind of my lone B here. If things do get kind of spicy up front, but Mark, you don't like Lucara, you don't like Immersive. Where did you land then?
Yeah, so I think I imagine that Caleb is going to make the same argument about Immersive that I do, which is that this is your quintessential freaky Cox 2-year-old that just doesn't take the step forward to being a 3-year-old, which we've seen time and time and time again with him, and I tend to that's kind of tends to be where I land with Immersive. I don't know if Caleb agrees, but we'll figure that out when we get to him. And Lucara, to me, and I agree with something that Road Warrior said, that he thinks Aragon is normally amazingly spot on, but he feels like he doesn't see Immersive going off as a favorite. I completely agree. I'd be shocked if Lucara doesn't go off as your favorite. With that being said, though, I don't like Lucara because this is a horse that, if you look back at her pattern, she fires every other race, and she has for ever and ever and ever and ever. That's just what she does. And so you're in this thing where you're trying to find out, okay, well, if I'm crossing off your first and second choice, where do I land? And I landed on the 2-horse, Sweet Seraphine. I think this is a horse that has improved pretty substantially all 3 of her starts of her career. She won the Wilton B last time out. She has enough, she should be your horse that's kind of flying late, as long as the track isn't crazy speed favoring. She should be the horse that's really rolling down the lane. She needs to take a step forward on speed figures. I completely agree with that, and she definitely does. But if you've watched Sherry's Barn the past, I don't know, 3 or 4 weekends or however we're calling the 3 starts of the Saratoga meet, Sherry DeVoe is winning everything that's not tied down. She is winning at a phenomenal clip. I know she's 40% right now to start Saratoga meet. I realize limited sample size, but she's winning like 30 or 40% and has been for a couple of weeks. I think Sweet Seraphine is going to be very set up here. Should get enough pace to run into, as long as the track's playing fair and is not a complete speedway. I think she's a really interesting player at anything near that 8-1 morning line.
Yeah, so I kind of agree with both of you guys a little bit. I want nothing to do with Immersive. I think she was a precocious 2-year-old, to Mark's point. Yep. Her comeback effort was abysmal. What I will say is that there's a pretty significant gap in the Brisnet versus Beyer versus Timeform speed figures for how fast that race came back. Timeform has that race extremely slow. Brisnet also has it pretty slow. Beyer has it much quicker. I mean, they actually have that as a incremental move forward for her, believe it or not. So I tend to think the Beyers are wrong on that one, but it is a little head scratching to think that not only did Immersive run that kind of a stinker, but also Take Charge Milady won that race and ran like the 3rd or 4th fastest race that she's ever run in her career and got it done there. So it's a bit tough to know what to make of that race. Once I have a chance to look at a few more figures, or hopefully get a run back or two between now and then, maybe we'll be able to validate some of that. But in the meantime, Immersive, absolutely not for me. LaCara is the harder call. I'm not as against her as Mark is, because I'm not completely convinced she's in every other. I think she's had some excuses, like in the Oaks, and then she did kind of rattle off 2 in a row earlier in her career. So I'm not completely against her, but I do think that she's a very one-dimensional horse that has kind of turned into one who almost needs the lead. And without knowing what the 5 is going to do, this becomes a very tricky race, because I don't know that she's quite good enough to go 45 to the half and then still draw away from this field. So all that to say, I agree with Mark on his pick of Sweet Seraphine as well. A progressive horse who needs to get better, but has stepped forward, most of her starts so far. Got it done last time out at Aqueduct. A lot of unknowns here, and there is a price where I think she becomes too short. 8-1 is a great price. 5-1 is probably as low as I would go, because she does have to answer the 2-turn question, the class question. She does have to get a lot faster. So, I am concerned she may get overbet based off of the fact that most of the big jocks are out of town, and this is kind of the hottest connections at the meet right now, especially with Manny's performance. So it's a hard race for me. I agree with Josh about LaCara and Take Charge Milady directionally, but I also see Mark's point on Sweet Seraphine. I think there's a lot. I mean, I could see singling LaCara in this race. I could see throwing out Immersive and LaCara and using the inside 4 runners, honestly, and just saying I'm going to beat the top 2 and hope I'm right with one of the other ones. So from a game theory approach, I think this is an interesting race. From a handicapping approach, I'll probably will have LaCara on my tickets with some combination of like the 2 and the 4 kind of backing them up.
Well, I mean, you also have to give Dry Powder a little bit of a look in here as well. I mean, for similar argument that you sort of give Sweet Seraphine, I mean, horse has been improving. Yeah, she definitely doesn't need the lead, but she definitely wants to be really forwardly placed. I don't know how fast Jose Loscano has to go with her, but she can't let LaCara go. She has to at least keep LaCara honest on the front end. And does that soften LaCara up enough for some of the closers? There's also an argument to be made that could she take just a little bit more of a step forward? I mean, she's done all 3 of her first, 3 starts, and also be a major player, in what is a race that I think is really tough. And this is kind of a Chad Summers angle on these, second off the long layoffs, he tends to fire some, to have some really good, really good races. So I think there's also a lot to like about the 5 Dry Powder in here. This is a really tough race. But it's one of those ones. I like really tough races where I think I can toss the 2 shortest prices and I'm going to get value if I'm right. So I'm okay with those types of races. I hate the really tough races where I feel like I need to include the favorite, but also the 10-1s. Those are the hard ones.
Yeah, no, I respect the approach. I mean, I don't know that I can see Dry Powder. I think that Dry Powder can cause LaCara to lose the race. I don't know that I believe Dry Powder can win the race.
Hold on a win? Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's an interesting, race from a pace dynamics is how they're going to handle that for sure.
Anything else in this race?
I don't like her much at all, but if you are using time form, Scottish Lassie is the second fastest horse in the field based off that
I
last
know.
effort. I mean, they merry-go-round at the track that day at the Acorn. I mean, it was her first time on a sloppy surface. You know, she ran as well as anybody and got a good figure. I mean, it was beaten by, you know, Dry Powder and Immersive in her last two starts. You know, arguably, maybe just that freak figure at Aqueduct isn't real from her, you know, Frizette score. But I mean, any look there at all?
For me, no. And my thought with her was I just don't trust the figure. I hate when a horse throws a big career top in a losing effort. And I think those figures are just really dressed up when that happens. And you know, and her Acorn is by far and away her best fig, at least on time form. You know, I love Buyer really liked her Frizette. Time form didn't like it nearly as much. So it's one of those ones of like, which speed figures do you trust? And I tend to go time form when I do trust one. But to me, I think she's probably the least likely winner in the field.
All right. It looks like Cobb said he'll donate a few bucks into the pool for us. So thanks, Cobb.
Thanks, bud.
Race 11. Why does it say stakes? What race is this, Mark?
This is the
Oh, the Vanderbilt.
The Vandy.
Yeah, I was like, well, it doesn't even just
So
says dirt stakes.
So Josh, I can set this one up. You know, we're going 6 furlongs on the main. How much money are you losing on Skelly?
All of it.
All of it? Like you're
all
just
gone.
Like just shove it all at the window.
All of it.
All money. Okay, cool. All in.
I mean, come on, this is the speed of the speed at Saratoga going
Skelly
6 furlongs.
Josh horses that ever did Josh horse. I mean, he really is.
And it's not going to be the favorite. This is a graveyard of favorites. So
he's going to be your favorite.
I'm good.
I'll be shocked if he's not your favorite. I
don't think he'll be your favorite.
You don't think he will be? Really?
I think this horse is so exposed. I mean,
he totally is.
If you want to go, win on the, the Pine Tree Derby at, at Oaklawn's backyard, I mean, by all means, go ahead. But like every single time this horse steps up against real horses, he turns into performance like he did last time in the Grade 3. He runs by 9 lengths with no excuse at odds-on favoritism, just like he did in the Breeders' Cup Sprint, where he ran an absolute stinker. I mean, sure, he ran okay in the Vandy last year, but he lost to Nakatomi, who isn't even going to be, in my opinion, much of a player in this race. And he beat a horse that no one has ever heard from again, like Twisted Ride or something like that. I mean, I think this horse is such. There's a reason he's campaigned the way he has been. I think he's a fraud, and there's nowhere else to run him right now. I guess maybe run him in the Ellis Park, pony ride show or something like that for a few bucks. But yeah, good job. You made $2 million, but this horse is not legitimate.
Okay, so let me tell you who my B is. Caleb, talk to me about Baby Yoda.
Oh God.
Josh, what year?
I don't hate it, but the horse for course angle, you got to be really leaning into that one.
Oh, baby, I'm leaning into the horse for course angle. Like, I mean, this horse fucking loves Saratoga. I mean, this horse broke the sound barrier at Saratoga. Like, what was that, 2 years ago, 3 years ago?
His True North was freaky. Yeah.
But, yeah, I don't know, man. I agree with you, Caleb. Like it sucks. Like, this was a horse I think 2 years ago in Skelly that was winning all these like listed races and just winning them for fun at big numbers, and then I just kept on waiting for him to bring this horse to Saratoga, and like the horse just like disappeared. Like I don't know if something went wrong or what happened, but like just the horse in 2023 just never. You just never, I don't think ever ran in Saratoga. I think he had like a 10-month layoff or something. But then comes back last year, and I mean, obviously was running at Oak Lawn, and but I mean, he was basically first or second every single race last year except for Del Mar. The race at the Aristides, like, I mean, he had absolutely no excuse in that race, and so I think we're gonna have to see what happens this race, right? But I mean, just looking at this from a pace scenario, I mean, he is just the fastest horse early, and if he doesn't like get the lead, I mean, This race is wide open. So I don't know. I'm gonna go with Skelly as my lone A. I'm gonna have Baby Yoda on at least 1 or 2 tickets because horse for course, and I mean, I don't want to look like an idiot, leaving Baby Yoda off at Saratoga. But Caleb, where did you land?
Yeah. For me, I mean, I probably have a lone A in this race, and that's going to be the number 4 Mulligan. I've always thought this was a nice horse. I think 7 furlongs is kind of the perfect distance for him. He's caught off tracks in each of his last 2 starts, and while he didn't run terribly in those, I mean, if you look at his record, I mean, he's 5 for 10 over a fast track and 0 for 3 over an off track. I think that kind of just indicates he does a little better when the track comes up fast. And he just has kept by far the best company. I mean, a lot of grade ones in there you'll see. I mean, a couple of a grade 1 win in the forego here at this track and at this trip last year. I think he gets a perfect stalking trip just off of Mulligan, who's gonna get 5 furlongs into the race and realize he's in a grade 2 and then just quit running. And I think Mulligan just kind of runs him down. I mean, in that True North, I thought he ran the best of all the horses involved up front. Time Form doesn't have that coded as red, but if you look at kind of the way that race developed, it kind of fell apart. I mean, the other 2 horses involved in the speed early on finished last and next to last in that race, including Concrete Glory, who set the pace, ran last and then came back to win with a pretty good speed figure next out from that. So, I thought Bookham Dano kind of had a better setup than Mulligan did that day, and I also kind of thought he just maybe handled off going a little bit better. So I do like Mulligan, but to that point, Bookham Dano is kind of my lone B. This is a race where I don't think I need very many horses. I like Mulligan on top, and Bookham Dano I think is your second most likely winner. Not going to go much deeper than that. I mean, I think that Churchill Downs, grade 1 stake that they both exit 2 back is probably the best race we've seen this year in terms of just quality of horses. So, yeah, I mean, I think that they're by and large the likeliest 2 winners in the race.
Yeah, very similar to Caleb, except for I'm going to flip our top 2. If we were going 7 furlongs, I would be all about Mulligan, but considering we're only going 6, I will take Bookham Dano, who is perfect going this trip. Obviously he needs a little bit of a pace setup, I'm assuming, but he does really like those sort of one big closing 6 furlong horses. His 3 races this year, he's progressively gotten a little bit faster in every one of them, and it seems to be I just in really, really good form. I don't love the jockey necessarily given the riding style, but Paco seems to kind of have him figured out. So, I think Bookham Dano, I think they're, obviously Skelly's going to go crazy on the front end. I think that there's going to be a few others that are going to be part of the pace complexion. And because if you look at it on paper, at least if you look at it on Time Form, it shows that Skelly just gets super loose and there's no other pace pressure. I just don't see that happening. I don't think they're going to let Skelly get away with murder on the front end. I think you're going to have horses like, the 2, the 3, and the 4 all kind of keeping him honest on the front end. And I think it's going to really set up Bookham Dano. I don't agree with the morning lines in this race. I think they're going to move around quite a bit. I think you're going to get a little better than that 5-2 on Bookham Dano. That's at least my guess. To Caleb's point, I like Bookham Dano on top. I think Mulligan is a horse that I probably want. I don't know if I use both Mulligan and Bookham Dano as A's or if I make Bookham Dano my A and Mulligan my B. I think those are 2 most likely winners. If the track comes up Saturday and for some reason it's just stupid speed favoring and speed's carrying on the undercard, then I think you have to move Scully up, and maybe he can figure out how to beat real horses that are not tomato cans. But otherwise, I think this is a fairly simple race. I think you can get really deep in here, but I don't really think you need to. And I'm assuming we're talking about Nakatomi from that comment. And if it was 2 years ago, I would be much more interested in Nakatomi. But I just think the gig is up at this point.
Won this race last year.
Yeah, and I just told you how good that race was last year.
Yeah, I mean,
he beat Skelly.
He beat Skelly. He beat Josh's top pick. I mean, yeah, nobody showed up last year. It was a pretty garbage rendition of this race.
What are you talking about? He beat Tuz and Maidan. All right, okay. Mark doesn't want to hear that.
Yeah, dude, I singled Tuz that day. Let's not talk about that. Tuz cost me a lot of money by being the head case that he is.
Anything else in this race? All
I
right,
had no idea Nash was still racing. That was kind of fun for me.
dude. I briefly looked at him, and I told Mark, I'm like, am I betting Nash? He's like, shut up. He's like, you're betting Skelly.
You're
Like,
betting
stop.
Skelly.
Like, let's not joke around here.
I honestly
I-
though there is a price that Nash does become a little interesting at. It's probably not 8-1. It's probably closer to 12-1. But you might get 12-1 on Nash, and I might use him as a B type in here.
I mean, good
His
good
last
for
two
Brad.
figures are good if they're real.
Yeah.
Good if they're real, right?
Well, that's what I'm
he's
saying. Like,
not.
good for Brad Cox on like swallowing this pride and cutting this horse back.
Yep.
Right. Like they cut this horse back to 6. I mean, granted, they tried the Pat Day Mile last year, and then they tried the Woody Stevens, and that didn't go well. But he brought it back to fairgrounds, trying the route again, and then he's like, no, like finally realized, hey, this is a one-turn horse. This is a one-turn horse, and I thought the last 2 races on time form looked really good. I just don't think I don't see a world where Nash beats 4 of these horses. I think he's you could single him in a superfecta in 4th or some stupid nonsense if you're going to try to do something crazy like that. But there's just a lot of stuff that's going to have to go his way, I think, in order for him to win this race.
Well, who finishes in front, Nash or Nakatomi?
That's tough. I think I would take Nash.
Right?
I think
Nash,
Nakatomi would
right?
Nakatomi would have a better chance of winning this race, but I think on average Nash finishes ahead of Nakatomi in this kind of race.
See, I take the opposite. I think Nash has a better chance to win, but Nakatomi has a better chance to clunk up for 3rd or 4th. But good question.
Yeah. Oh, Cobb saying everyone's doubting the Cox Godolphins now. So,
I mean, if you look at the jockeys that have been on Nash, I mean, you can upgrade him a little bit.
That was I didn't want to go there, but yeah, right. He finally got.
I mean, Luana's fine, but the thing is that I don't know. And like, hey, he won his last race, right? A salty allowance race at Churchill Downs. Granted, it was in the slop. Like, I'm more interested in the race 2 back, right? Where on a fast track against a better field, he finished 2nd in that race to a decent with a decent time form fig.
What is it? Track Phantom is still running? Really?
He just ran I think it
Wow.
was last 2 weeks ago, maybe. I think. Yeah, I forget where it was. He just ran though.
Okay.
And ran
Man,
terrible, but yeah.
Track Phantom was a horse I thought was gonna be something, and that's a horse that just has not panned out. Race 12. 7 furlong allowance race to close this out. Yeah, I thought this is a pretty salty race here. Your morning line favorite is Stars and Strides at 7-5 on the morning line. Invictus at 4-1, 8-1 on Antonio of Venice, and then you start getting the double digits after that. But Stars and Strides, I kind of freaked on a wet track first time out for Bill Mott at 8-1. Caleb, since you're basically at 100% strike rate on Bill Mott firsters, I'm sure you had this one.
I think I did actually.
I don't know, like, Caleb, this seems like the quintessential type of horse that you're going to absolutely try to beat.
I don't understand what makes this horse 7-5 in this field. I mean, went off at 8-1 on debut. Wasn't expected to be much. Got into a basically a 2-horse race. With him and the runner up. He was able to kind of out game Mainstream to the wire, and they were both 6 lengths clear of the rest. Mainstream came back to run last in a 5-horse field next out. And that was on a sloppy track where he broke his maiden. You don't know how he's going to be on a fast. And I get it. Bill Mott, first time out, not great. So if this horse won first time out, he must be just super talented. I mean, but I just don't think that I buy that. I mean, I don't want anything to do with this horse at 7-5. I mean, I haven't seen the workout reports. Maybe this horse is blazing in the morning and the support is justified. But to me, that feels like a bit of a miss. I could see him being more in the 3-1 range, truthfully. I don't see what makes this horse 7-5, but Maybe there's something out there I just don't know. It's not a great field, but I'm just not convinced at all.
I think it's the Mott wins on debut, and if you throws up a really nice figure, very competitive figure with this field. I think if you watch the trip as well, the horse got really pinballed getting out of the gate. So I think there's a lot of that could have been a much better performance if the horse didn't have such a rough trip early. So I think there's a couple of factors, but I think Stars and Stripes for me, I think is my top choice. Obviously, I'm eating chalk.
Stars
here.
and Stripes
Shocker.
won today.
Or Stars
And
Strides.
Strides
I hate
runs on Saturday.
Stars and
Both
Strides.
Bill Ma horses. Do not confuse them. Penn State Scott, keep things clear.
This is going to be brutal if these two both get to be decent horses. It's just going to be. I'm going to have so many problems with this. But no, I think Stars and Strides is very interesting. And I do know that Caleb did have that horse because I remember we were walking to the track that day. I'm pretty sure that's the day, or we were talking, and I was giving him crap about, hey, is this Belmont Firster live? And he's like, oh yeah, that was totally live. And then the horse wins at like 8-1. I was like,
yeah.
Wait, you really are the Belmont Whisperer, and it became a joke. So I'm pretty sure you were actually very right on that horse. There's a lot of other ways. If you can get around Stars and Strides, there's a lot of other ways you can go in this race. Beyond being really spready, I don't have any other ways of feeling like I have enough coverage, but I think I have enough opinions earlier on that I'm okay spreading this race quite a bit. So horses like Invictus, Kalahari Dreams, the 10, I thought was really interesting. The first time in Amelia Green's barn, the 2 Landing Craft doesn't need to take a major step forward. I thought that horse was pretty interesting. The 3 Vekoma Rides with Kendrick up, second time off the layoff. Another horse I thought was really interesting. So I think there's a lot of ways you can go in here. A lot of horses that are, don't need to take a big step forward to be major players in this race. So I want some coverage in here.
Yeah, I thought this was an interesting race. Obviously, the 6 can win, right? That figure, really, really nice figure, first time out. You can't really poke too many holes through that, but, that was a sloppy track. It was an American Pharaoh who and Ghost Sapper on the bottom, which is both, pretty big slop influence. Maybe we got a little hidden scroll action. Maybe we got a little horse that freaked on that track first time out, and we'll see what happens. Wait, wasn't Hidden Scroll also Belmont?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Mark's like, wait, you remember a horse from 5 years ago?
I was
or 6
shocked.
years ago?
I'm amazed you remembered a horse from yesterday. Jeez.
Yeah, dude, I can't remember legitimate horses, but the meme horses.
Yeah,
like Jakarta.
Funny Duck?
I got that down.
Like Funny Duck. You remember Funny Duck?
Funny Duck, dude. I'll never forget Funny Duck. That's the horse that got me hooked. But Mark, you mentioned a couple horses I thought were interesting in this spot. I really like Vekoma Rides. I think Vekoma Rides is really interesting. One on debut at Aqueduct going 6 furlongs, and then they immediately they stretch this horse out. Obviously, the 1-turn mile at Aqueduct, and then put the horse out for a couple months. Came back last time at Aqueduct and improved off that 2-year-old figure. Granted, in a losing effort. But I'm interested to see what you're seeing here, second time out as a 3-year-old here. Kendrick stays aboard. I think that this is a horse that's got some tactical speed. Was able to obviously won off a slow pace, and you get Kendrick aboard, and Kendrick's going to get this horse involved early. So I thought Vekoma Rides was really interesting. I thought the 1 Commuted was another one that was a little interesting. Another one that kind of started off pretty hot with triple digit time form in his debut. Ended up breaking his maiden going the classic distance, 1.25 miles, and then went to Falcone's barn here, and Falcone basically immediately put this horse back onto 1 turn, and the first time he did it at Aqueduct, I mean that's a really, really big figure for this field. With Jose Ortiz aboard. Obviously, has been off for a couple of months. Is coming back first off the layoff, and gets Ricky Gogo Santana. This is a Flying P horse. that always tends to run really well at Saratoga. I'm interested to see how this horse kind of runs. I was just trying to look for horses that you might get a little bit of a price on here, and I thought the one commuted with what looks to be one of the top time form figures in the field would be a little bit interesting. Mark, you already mentioned the 10 Kalahari Dreams. I mean, Jose Ortiz getting aboard anybody at a long price, you kind of got to look. This is the horse that's had multiple triple-digit time form figs here, including the Maiden Breaker 2 back. Last time out, looked and just, I don't know, just kind of ran around in the circle and didn't do much. But 16-day turnaround, kind of quick here, and Jose sees fit to get aboard, so kind of interested to see how this horse runs here. But yeah, there's just a bunch of other horses that I'm interested in at prices that I feel like taking a short price on Stars and Strides is just not going to be worth it. But Caleb, where did you land?
Yeah, I mean, you guys have covered a lot of the ones that I will have on my tickets here, and directionally, I agree with the way you're approaching this. I will beat Stars and Stripes or go down trying. I don't need that horse. I really like Commuted, Josh, the horse you talked about. Probably my top pick in here. Last two did seem to maybe go off form a touch, but off the layoff here seems to be working extremely sharp. You get a very aggressive rider who's having a great start to the Saratoga meet so far. Should get an aggressive ride from out of the gate there. So I really like Commuted. Vekoma Ride's another one who you both mentioned. I think Mark briefly touched on Kalahari Dreams, one who I'm maybe a little more lukewarm on, but at 12-1 probably sneaks onto my ticket somewhere. And the only other one who we probably didn't talk about that I'll have, or maybe someone mentioned it and I just lost it, is the 12 rookie card. And this is a horse that really looked like he was going to be something at first. I mean, coming out of that Tip Top Thomas race on debut, which everybody thought, at the time was an extremely strong maiden race, I still kind of think that it was. I mean, we saw Tip Top Thomas go to win the Indiana Derby, I think it was. Kiwaden has gone to win a few races. Believe it or not, the fourth place finisher in that maiden race was Sovereignty. I mean, this was a very strong maiden race, and it was kind of known at the time, given how fast the figure came back. Things didn't exactly go to plan with this horse, and he's kind of, found some just sharp, shockingly poor efforts, like in the Pasco Stakes. And then, last time out, caught a sloppy track. But I think you can maybe make a couple excuses. He had trouble in the Pasco, and he had to, check, really sharply. Had no chance there. Also, Tampa's a weird track. And then, caught a sloppy track at Saratoga last out and just really didn't handle it. But getting back, hopefully on a fast track here, he has a good chance to be controlling speed. And, if, like Josh always says, if somebody can tell Rosario that he's one of the best speed jockeys in the country, if he actually gets his horses on the lead, then I think this horse could be tough to run down. I'm not really sure what the pace looks like in here. I'm not confident Katie's horse really has the speed to secure the lead here. I'm not sure that Commuted is, I hope he goes forward. I'm not sure that he can. But Rookie Card just comes into this race with, just buckets of speed, as a strong finishing jockey board. And I think 12-1's kind of a ridiculous price. I think you maybe get half of that, but I'll be more than happy if I'm wrong.
Yeah, Timeform's got this horse right on the lead here. I got the Timeform projection up here. They have it coded as a fast pace. I take pause sometimes when they get big fields, because I feel like sometimes with the bigger fields, they just like kind of automatically ends up, they give it the fast pace marking, probably just because, it's some kind of algorithm. I mean, obviously the two's got a lot of speed in this race, but I mean, most of these other horses seem like that might be on the lead seem a little bit more tactical. I mean, even the 7 Fifth Avenue, I granted that was at 5.5, but this was also a horse that like didn't seem like he was like a horse that would rush to the lead. So I don't know. I do think that if Rosario can kind of get this horse from the outside post over, I do think that he's really interesting in this spot, because he does look to be the speed of the speed in this race. Anything else on this race? Anything else on this card, Mark? I know you've like handicapped like every single Saratoga day up until like 3 weeks from now. So
No. I mean, I think the entire card is very similar to the races we covered. Big competitive fields, really good racing. Doesn't look like there's any weather in the forecast, so everything should stay on, which is, obviously has not always been the case at Saratoga so far. And excited for it. I mean, you get really good racing this time of year, and a lot of good tournament stuff as well. If you're a tournament player where you have like it's not like you're playing Saratoga, but the other track in a tournament is Gulfstream or something, right? Like you're getting Saratoga, you're getting big Monmouth Haskell cards, you're getting Del Mar, you get those stuff. So really good opportunities, and some really good racing.
Caleb, you planning on DJing this weekend?
Yes, I've been I've had a busy week, so I haven't really with traveling and then being sick, and then I had like some interviews and job stuff, so it's been busy. But starting like tomorrow, I'm pretty much free for the weekend, so I'll definitely be around.
Nice. Mark, I know you're jumping into to that Monmouth contest, so good luck with that.
I think I will. Yeah, that's the plan right now, and I think our good friend PDT will be hopping in as well, so we can talk some smack the whole time, which is always fun.
Nice. And then I will I think I'll be around this. I'll at least be around Saturday. Sunday I got some plans, but yeah, you can check us out at ontheronglead.com, at wrong_lead on Twitter. Just some other stuff. I was on the horse racing happy hour earlier today with Louis Rabeau. You can check that out on horse racing at Horse Happy Hour on Twitter, or at Radio Louis, Louis Rabeau's thing. It's up there on Twitter. And then we'll be doing. We covered the entire Del Mar Saturday card there, and then Matt Carlson and I, with Hong Kong being on break, we'll get another podcast out there called The Get Out, and we're gonna go ahead and cover the late pick 3 at Del Mar on Sunday, and get you guys ready in case you need a little get out there for the weekend. And obviously, Drinking Champagne is back with Andrew being back from his honeymoon, so that came out this week. Tons of content out there for you guys. Thank you guys for checking us out. Obviously, on theronglead.com, at wrong_lead on Twitter. Hit all the buttons, like and subscribe. We will catch you guys later. Have a good weekend.